Encouraging people to contact me if they had any questions or issues and they wanted to get some guidelines and some overviews. And I got a very interesting inquiry the other day, and I actually got an email with some of the facts of her case. And they presented some interesting issues. And I thought, well, this is a great opportunity to share, literally to share what somebody's going through right now, because it may be you.
Yeah, you know what? And it's cool. If you want to talk to the judge or ask him a question, you go to askjudgeherb@gmail.com. That's askjudgeherb@gmail.com. And this is how this lady reached out to you, right?
Yeah, she did. But she started off by saying, because I brought the email, she started off by saying, I enjoy your radio show.
That's awesome.
That was a nice beginning, and not often do you get people say nice things about you without being solicited in some way.
They never say anything nice about me anymore.
I always say good things about you, Gary, every time.
You do.
I absolutely do. I always say this show would not be what it is if it hadn't been for the fact that you're here asking me softball questions,
harassing you,
and your humor is great, and you got an infectious laugh. It's one of the few infectious things that are out there that's good for you, is your laugh.
Thank you, Joe.
So, and you're teaching me all these mechanical things too. What a YouTube is. I don't know what a YouTube is.
You have
I thought a YouTube was something you get in the hospital when they're taking some tests.
That's a colonoscopy.
Ain't no tube.
That ain't no tube. That's thank God I've never had one.
Oh, they're horrible. Horrible. I get them
know.
every 5 years or something.
Oh, Lord. But anyways, if you want to check out Judge Herb Dodell's YouTube channel, just go to youtube.com and go to Judge Herb Dodell. And we are posting clips, 2-3 minute clips of you talking about all sorts of subject matter.
Yeah, briefly. They're very brief and they're poignant.
They're very good.
I thought it was great. We did them the other day with, I have a fish tank behind me, so you watch the fish swimming. It's supposed to put you to sleep.
You putting you paying the fish?
I'm paying them scale.
Scale.
You led me right into that one.
Of course. But
thanks very much.
Well, that's a good lead, man. There you
go. It is. I got a good chuckle out of my family with that, actually. I thought that was funny. I said, okay, we try. We make it happen. Anyway, she had this issue. But before I respond, I want to make it really clear that I don't give legal advice.
No.
Every case is going to have different facts.
Right.
And you don't get all the information that you would need if you were taking a case on as a lawyer for a client. Not that I'm out there looking for business. I'm not doing that either.
You're trying to help people out.
But I figure if I just give them enough information and some guidelines and some directions and tell them what their options are, they'll either do it or they won't. Yeah. Sensible people will say, you know what, maybe I should follow that. I'm not going to say advice. Maybe I should listen to some of these things, and it's going to give me some inspiration.
I mean, how many people can get, not advice, but somebody like you to actually talk to them? I mean, it's more like you're speaking to them, not giving them advice, but you're letting them know how it sort of works, the maneuvering and things like that.
Well, that was the basis of the show anyway. Is the basis of the show is to help people navigate through the system who don't know what the system is.
Yeah.
I'm telling you from the inside.
Right.
And that you don't get that kind of information.
No one's doing this but you.
Why do you think that's so?
I don't know. Nobody's innovative like you, Judge.
Well, I don't know if it's true it's innovation, but it's a desire to use what I've learned over the years for the benefit of other people.
You're a spiritual soul, and you want to help mankind out.
I do, actually.
I know you do. I'm being on. I'm not joking about this.
That's why I'm doing the whole thing. That's why I wrote the book.
I know.
Because my wife once asked me, why are you writing this book? Are you writing it for yourself? I said, no, I really want to be able to share my experiences, and some people are going to have the same experiences, and maybe they could use the background and the information for their benefit so that they can be less anxious about what they're facing in the future. So anyway, here's her situation. And I thought it was kind of common, actually. She's certainly not alone.
Okay.
She met somebody online.
Oh, God.
And developed a real nice, friendly relationship. Never met, but they were talking, and ultimately he asked her, how much her house was worth. And he was in business, and he was going to be developing some business outside of the state. And you know where I'm going with this, because ultimately they almost always do the same thing. What do you think that is?
Try to rip them off.
Yeah, but how do they start off? What do they ask for?
Loan.
First, they ask for information.
Okay, information.
Because
okay.
the information is what they're going to use ultimately to get the desired result,
Right.
their desired result. And then it develops into how much.
Yeah, how much you're worth.
How much are you worth? Because they're not going to waste their time talking to you if you got $7. So they're going to be poking down and asking you questions. That should be the first red flag for you.
Right.
If you're out there in the world, you always talk about the aliens, it's even for them. If you're looking to do something and somebody asks you how much money are you worth or how much can you spend or I got this great investment for you, red flag. Check them out. Most people are doing Google anyway. If somebody calls you, the first thing you do when you hang up is you Google to find out who they are, right? You check,
I try not to, but I guess you should.
Well, we didn't have those kind of tools before.
I know people. I don't know. Is that invasion of privacy a little bit?
No, but I'm going to talk about invasion of privacy.
Okay,
At the end of today's show, I'm going to get into invasion of privacy.
Because I think that's invading somebody's privacy. But, I mean, the last girl I dated basically told me that she looked me up on Google and YouTube videos of mine, and it was really sort of like, made me sort of like freaky a little bit. I didn't really dig it.
It should. They go to Yelp.
Yeah.
They go to Yelp or whatever. I always like that word, Yelp.
Yelp.
Yeah, when I was a kid growing up, the word Yelp was usually when a dog barked.
Right.
They yelped.
Yeah, they yelped. Yeah.
But now Yelp is I had a great meal.
Or a bad meal, one of the two.
Or a bad meal. Those things can kill a business.
I know.
Because I've thought about that many times. If you really want to do some damage to a business owner, you post some ridiculously untrue statement, but you expose yourself when you do that.
Yeah.
But if you act within the First Amendment and it's a comment or an opinion, there's not much anybody can do about it.
But it's karma, right? And you're a big believer in karma, too.
I'm a very big believer.
I know.
I call it cause and effect.
Right.
What happens to you ultimately, what manifests physically, you created back there when. How long prior? You don't know. But because time separates cause and effect, you don't relate the two together. But you got a beating because you did something that deserved it. And that's just the way it is. You can prevent that from happening by changing your attitude and your consciousness. If you are doing good things, it's going to bounce off that mirror we talked about.
That's right.
It's going to come back to being in the right place at the right time or meeting the right person or whatever it is. It happens because you earned it.
Yep.
If you follow the system, it's like the movie The Matrix. Remember the movie The Matrix?
I didn't really get that. But I remember it, yeah. But Keanu Reeves.
It's basic, yeah, right. But basically, it's all been determined.
Yeah, it's predetermined.
And if you want to change it, you got to change the numbers.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's all about statistics. Everything is based on numerical values. So if you know what the numerical values are of good things and you connect to it, you're going to draw that energy.
I just try to be a good person. I just try to be a good person and do good by society.
That's all you really can do.
That's what.
So let me get back to this.
Yeah, let's get back to her situation. So anyways, this guy's checking her out.
Yeah, and she's biting it, and she's listening to him,
God.
and she's answering his questions, and yada yada yada. And
Right.
one day he says to her, "Well, did you ever think about getting a fast loan?"
A fast loan.
Fast loan is like a payday loan.
Okay.
You know what those are?
Yeah, I mean, you can get a quick loan for like a major interest rate,
Oh,
right?
they're definitely major.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Well, let's say you're going to get your paycheck on the 15th of the month.
You get it.
But now it's the 1st of the month, and you've got 15 days to go, and you're busted, and you need something right away. You go to these places, and they'll give you a payday loan for 15 days.
Right.
And the interest rate is usually pretty exorbitant.
Yeah.
And I once asked one of these guys in court, I had a lot of them they come in to collect on the small claims stuff.
Yeah.
And I once asked him about it. I'll tell you what I told him right after the break.
Okay, it's for the people at Judge Herb Dodell. If you have any questions for him, it's askjudgeherb@gmail.com. And get his book, From the Trench to the Bench. It's a very spiritual book, along with a lot of information. Available on Amazon.com.
AM KCAA.
Herb Dodell is a lawyer and a judge for the people. Having served as a Superior Court judge, presiding over more than 9,000 cases, he has witnessed firsthand how complicated and corrupt the legal system can be. His goal is to show how things really work in the legal system so that people can navigate the legal system in the best way for them. Many people often feel marginalized by the legal system and are uninformed about how to proceed when unfortunate circumstances arise in their life. Judge Herb will pull back the curtain, lift the veil, so people can truly understand their rights, have access to top legal personnel that they can trust, and have knowledge about how things work so they can make better choices. Judge Herb isn't just knowledgeable. His integrity and spiritual values are truly what make him different. He cares about democratizing access and information for all and desires to turn on the light so the people, you, can benefit. For more information, email the judge at askjudgeherb@gmail.com. That's askjudgeherb@gmail.com.
Okay, so I asked one of these collection type people, because I was seeing them on a regular basis. I said, you're going after these people. They got nothing. I mean, you're going to collect whatever it is that you're chasing, but how are you going to collect it? He said, that's why we charge such a high interest rate, because we have to write off so much of this. I said, well, what you're doing is you're taking Peter and you're robbing Paul.
Yeah.
But that's how they operate. He says also that they get a lucky surprise every now and again. They get a judgment, because that's what we do. We issue something called a judgment at the end of the trial, if there's a trial. And if it's a prove up at the end of the time that the plaintiff is talking and we believe it, we enter a judgment. Now, that judgment could be entered on the record, the county record, if you own a house. So are they going to take your house? No, they're not going to get your house. Probably there's something available to you called a homestead. Maybe.
Do they put a lien on the house?
Yeah, it's called an abstract of judgment.
Right.
And that abstract of judgment goes on your house, and now you want to go back and you want to refinance. And I've seen it many, many times. The refinancing company runs the record check, title search, and they come up with the fact that there's a lien on here for $2,386, whatever it is. Well, that will kill your escrow, because they come ahead of any new loans. So what they make you do is they make you pay the 2008, whatever the number is,
Yeah.
In order to clear the title, so they can move up, so that they're now the senior owner of the liability, the second mortgage, whatever it may be. So they ultimately wait it out. If you try to refinance it, or if you sell it, either way, if you sell it, boom, it's right there on the record. They're going to grab it.
They get the money first.
And every now and again, they find out. They run a little credit search or whatever, and they find out you're working for some place and you're making X dollars, and they can take everything but 25%. And they can take 25%.
These payday loans.
Yeah, that's the case. One of them was the case. I don't think I ever told that story on the show.
Never heard of this one.
Had a company came in and they were suing this guy for interest on a loan. So I asked him, as I always do, what's the interest rate? 173%.
Oh, come on, man.
So normally we have the ability to not enforce contracts we feel are unconscionable.
Thank you.
But the defendant said that it was unconstitutional to charge more than the statutory rate, which in California is 10%. And he says it's unconstitutional to allow them to do this. They were relying on a section of the financial code which allows lenders, if you have a license, to charge whatever rate of interest you want. No limit.
Wow.
So the guy he was a young lawyer. He was not really prepared. I said, well, you didn't plead that in your papers that it's unconstitutional. I can't decide it because it's not before me. But I'll tell you what I'll do. The other side made a mistake. They didn't file the original of their license. I said, I could throw it out right now because there's no original. I'm going to give them a chance to bring the original, and I'm going to give you a chance to amend your complaint. It's discretionary with the court whether you allow an amendment or not. Generally, we do, unless it's right on the eve of trial or there's some reason to do that. So I said, I'm going to give you 2 weeks to go out and redo your complaint or your answer. and allege unconstitutional or anything else you want to allege.
Right.
And I'll decide whether I'm going to let you amend it or not. My intention was to let them amend it. So they came back 2 weeks later, and they did plead the constitutionality of it. And the other side brought in an uncertified copy. I said, this doesn't work. Printing it off the email is not off of the internet is not the same as bringing a copy of the real license.
Yeah.
And so it was called a summary judgment motion. Basically, they were trying to win the case on the grounds they had a contract that provided for it. The defendant didn't pay. It's a breach. There's no issues of material fact. As a matter of law, they win. That's the basic foundation for a summary judgment. And
I mean, 173% interest.
It may have been 193.
I mean,
it's way out. It was way
man.
out.
I mean,
so
how
what I did?
Yeah, what did you do?
It was like on a.
I hope you did something. Hope you did the right thing.
Well, it was late in the week. What I did is we had research attorneys assigned to us, and so I called up the research attorney's name was Steve. And I said, you know what? I want to find this thing unconstitutional. I think it's outrageous that people can get ripped like this.
That's a total rip-off.
So go back, and it was like a weekend coming up, because I remember that. I said, I want you to come back with a decision like Monday or Tuesday, because I have to make a decision. And what I want to do is help this person out, but I can't do it if it's violative of the law, because I have to follow the law no matter whether I like it or not.
Right.
So he came back following week, and he says, I appreciate what you want to do, but you can't.
Wow, really?
It's already been decided back 20, 30 years ago. There was a case very much like it. The case was decided in favor of the allowance of the interest rate, no matter what. So I ruled in that regard. But they never brought the original certified copy, and so I threw the case out.
They still threw it out and just.
I think they settled it. I kind of remember that. But the point I'm telling you the story is
crazy.
Is that you really need to know what's going on. So here's a lady. Now she's being asked for the money, and the guy's saying, "Give me $3,000. I'll take $600."
How long have they been communicating? Did she say?
It started in July, and this was sometime in December.
Okay, so they've been communicating for like 5 months.
Yeah,
and they hadn't met.
Never met personally.
Just communications via emails and texts and things like that. Okay.
So he's telling her she should get a fast loan, equity loan. And she's saying, well, I'm not in a hurry to do that. He's, look, I can get you 4 times the amount of money. So if you put in $5, you'll get $20 back. And she's listening to all this.
Of course.
Because most people want to believe what people who they want to believe are telling them.
Exactly.
And so she was going along with it.
She's got a good heart.
But she stopped.
She stopped what?
She stopped talking to the guy, and she didn't give him any money, right?
God bless her.
Next thing she finds out is that this guy got a $300,000 loan on a home equity loan by pledging the house, which didn't belong to him. It actually belonged to a trust that had been left to her. So her
pledged her house?
Yeah, pledged her, and they lent him the money.
How? Without her knowledge?
Exactly. Well, because they forged documents. They do whatever they do.
Forged the document.
There's a scam going on right now, which is what's going on.
Wow.
I was told about this not too long ago. I haven't had any cases or anything on it, but I've been told that this is very common. They file a quit claim deed or a grant deed or whatever you can find. They file it, and next thing you know is you get a foreclosure notice.
So so this guy forged her name.
I don't know. I don't know what he I don't know what he did.
Well, he had to, right?
He did something, or he's in cahoots with the fast loan people, whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
That's why I don't give legal advice. But I'll tell you what options there are out there for all of you who are in a similar situation. And of course, her answer is, but if he took my house, it's no longer my asset. I have no other money. How am I going to get a lawyer? I can't pay a lawyer. And what's the contingency?
I mean, what can she do? I mean,
I'm going to tell you.
All right, please. I want. I mean, this is terrible. This is one of our listeners.
Yeah, it is, from San Bernardino.
Man, that pisses me
off. The point is, one of the questions she asked me was, somebody told me I should get a lawyer. What do you think? I said, it's a no-brainer. You need to get a lawyer.
Yes.
The problem is, how do you get a lawyer when you haven't got any money to pay anybody?
Contingency.
A contingency of what?
Well, I mean, she's got the house.
She doesn't have the house. It's in somebody else's name now.
I mean, I don't
Maybe. I don't know. The first thing you do is you check the county records. See where the title is at the moment. It should be in the name of the trust that had it all along before this, I'm going to call it a transaction, before this thing happened, whatever it was. Check the record. If it's still in your name, there's a company out there, I forgot the name of it. I'm not going to promote their product, but they insure against this event taking place. Somebody grabbing your house and it foreclosed from right underneath you and you're out the door.
Damn.
That's the first thing. Check the record. It's a very easy thing. It's public record. Go down to your local county. For her, it says San Bernardino County. Go down to the city hall or the county clerk's office or whatever and look it up. If it's in somebody else's name, what do? You have a number of options. Number one, you file a lawsuit. I'll tell you about the lawyer in a minute. You file a lawsuit for something called what? What do you think you call it?
Getting ripped off and helping me out. I don't know. It's
called quieting title.
Quieting title?
Yeah, the general statute of limitations on that is 3 years, by the way.
Okay.
And as long as the other party is not in possession of the property at the time.
All right.
I don't have enough facts here to comment on that, but you can always sue to quiet title. That's called equitable relief as opposed to legal relief. And most of the time, if not all the time, those kinds of cases are heard by a judge only. These are non-jury issues. It's called equitable relief. That's one. Number two, you got defrauded by somebody along the way.
That's criminal.
You include, well, I'm going to get to the criminals in a second. But the fact of the matter is you can sue for fraud. You can sue for negligence. You can sue for a variety of other potential remedies, which gets your title cleared. Now you got your asset back. If it had $300,000 worth of equity in it, which is apparently what was involved here,
wow,
you now have your $300,000 in equity back. If you don't, that property could be sold to what's called a third-party purchaser for value without notice, and that could cut you off altogether. So you got to really be quick on something like this. You can't let it go to what they call a BFP, bona fide purchaser. So you get a lawyer. Well, what lawyer is going to come in? You have no money. Here's what I think you should think about doing. Talk to a lawyer and say, you know what, I'll give you a percentage of whatever I get back. In other words, I'm now out 300. Presumably, I'm now out 300. So if you get my property back in my name, assuming it was still in somebody else's name, you get it back in my name, I'll give you a percentage of whatever it is that you recover. Now, classic remedies like rescission don't apply because you don't have a contract with that person. You have no contractual relationship. You can't sue him for breach of contract. You had no contract. You never had a consideration for anything.
But he forged.
We don't know.
Oh, come on, he had to.
I don't know.
All right, I'm just saying.
Either that or this fast cash company is going to lose their cash fairly fast because the reality is
one of them
they bought something that did from somebody who didn't own it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the probability. It certainly was negligent, if nothing else.
Yeah.
How would you give somebody $300,000?
Come on.
And you take a piece of paper and they don't have a trust deed. They haven't got a power of attorney. They've got nothing. And you look on the record and it's in somebody else's name.
Shady. Very shady.
Something caca went here. So
yeah.
We're talking about law enforcement. This guy was either in Las Vegas or in Chicago or someplace. The chances of you getting the San Bernardino sheriff or anybody local to do anything to these people is probably non-existent. Never going to happen.
Yeah.
FBI, maybe, because it's interstate commerce. Maybe.
Could be doing this all over the country to a lot of different women.
I'm sure they are.
I'm sure they are.
Older, and she was a gal, given my age, anybody who's younger is young. She's younger than I am, but not that much.
Well, let's talk about more of this after the break.
Okay.
All right. It's For the People with Judge Herb Dodell, and we'll be back right after this.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM, KCAA.
In his book, From the Trench to the Bench, Judge Herb Dodell demystifies the legal system, including both civil and criminal, the lawyers, the judges, and the process. As a judge, former deputy district attorney, and criminal defense attorney, He knows the legal system. He has the inside information that you need to pick a lawyer, and he's here to give it to you. No matter what you're facing that makes you think you may need a lawyer, Judge Herb will shed valuable light on your situation and reveal your best options and many secrets of how the judicial system actually works. To find out more about how the legal system really works, you can get your copy of Judge Herb Dodell's eye-opening book, From the Trench to the Bench, at Amazon.com.
I have often been accused of being a person wearing rose-colored glasses. And I suppose I'm a cockeyed optimist. So
No,
let
you're
me
not.
tell you,
You're a realist.
well,
Come
let me
on.
tell you out there in San Bernardino, you got a shot. I want to give you, of course, I'm not making any promises. I'm not representing you. I don't know all the facts. But from what you told me, I think you got a shot.
A good shot, right?
Yeah, get a decent lawyer.
Yeah. What's your advice for her right now?
Find somebody. If you can't find a lawyer, go to the County Bar Association, and they have people who volunteer. They have people who will not necessarily volunteer. They'll work for less money. They're looking for the business. A young lawyer might be interested in something like this.
I have a friend. I have a friend even. I
Yeah?
mean, if you want, yeah, she wants to email you. I'm being serious here. I have a friend, known him for many, many years. He was one of my dad's friends. My dad was an attorney here, a criminal attorney, but he does all this type of stuff, real estate and entertainment type law. I guarantee you, he'll definitely look at it and do something.
Okay, well, one of the things that makes the most sense, and here's where a layman really doesn't really fit the bill, because you don't have the credibility and the clout to do it. But if I was representing somebody like this, I'd call that company that's taken over this title,
First thing,
or try to, and say, you know what, buddy, you're going to give it all back. Not only are you going to give it all back, but I'm going to ask for punitive damages and allege that this was a scheme. And if I get it, you're out of business. You're going to be out the $300,000 unless you can find where this guy's got it and he's mining gold someplace, whatever he's doing with it. The chances are you ain't getting the money back either.
yeah.
But you're going to be worse off if you have to give us back the property and you have no equity interest in it, and you get sued and you have to pay for a lawyer potentially. Well, you have to pay for your own lawyer. There's no contract, so there's no attorney's fees. But the bottom line is you talk to them and say, look, let me talk to your lawyer.
Yeah.
And it's never going to get cheaper than it is today.
Yes.
The minute I got to get into this thing and I got to start getting paid fees and whatever, our demands are going to be a whole lot more. And you're going to give it back anyway because you had no right to this title.
And by the way, you probably could even ask for the lawyer's fees. Like her lawyer could ask for the lawyer's fee that she has to pay.
Not really.
You don't think that would happen?
Well, no,
It could
not
happen.
really, because
No?
California law, it's under Section 1717. California law generally does not provide for a party to get attorney's fees unless, one, the other side is an insurance company and they acted in bad faith. Then you can get attorney's fees. Or two, if it's in a contract.
Okay.
The parties have agreed to something. It's called prevailing party provision.
Okay.
They usually have a provision saying that the party that prevails in any lawsuit or any collection efforts gets the attorney's fees, but there has to be in a written agreement, and both parties have to have stipulated to that.
Okay.
Otherwise, you don't get attorney's fees.
All right.
There are a few other exceptions, but not many.
Well, if these guys did something illegal and they were in cahoots with this guy, doesn't matter.
Doesn't do that.
Really? Okay, I'm just asking. I mean, these are
No, well,
questions
look, the public needs to know this.
This is stuff I
They want to
need.
know what are we going to do if it happens to us.
Right, exactly.
That's why we're doing this. That's why I'm going over
That's
this
why you're doing this.
example. Well, yeah, I'm going over this example because I hope the people that are out there that get that phone call or go online and somebody's starting asking for money or whatever, they'll say, wait a minute, I just heard this guy and he says I should watch out for this.
Yeah.
Or hang up and tell him to call, Orkin the termite guy or whatever it is. You're not going to get any money out of me. But people are lonely. People
Listen.
will do what they think they need to do to meet the expectations of the other person on the other side of the line.
She was being nice, and
Yeah,
she probably
very
didn't,
nice.
she probably didn't realize what was going on, and then all of a sudden she's got some guy that's a shyster, as I would call him. You know,
Well,
what I mean?
shysters are lawyers, but that's okay. Maybe they're lawyers too. Who knows? Maybe they figured a way around this. You know, there's always people who are very clever out there and can figure out.
I would
ways
never call
around
you.
it.
I would never call you a shyster.
Nobody has, as far as I know. I never did that kind of work, so it was never. People will call shysters with people.
Is that what a lawyer? Is that what lawyers really supposed? I thought it was a shyster was somebody who was just somebody who was underhanded that would rip people off. Isn't that the?
No, generally shyster was equated to dishonest lawyers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you'd see them in the movies. You know, they would show up at the jail wearing a striped suit and a derby hat or something like that, and they're out there waiting for the ambulance to come around the corner so they can get the patient and sign him up.
Right, okay.
Standing on the street corner. Wait a minute, I got a card. I got a business card, and that's a shyster.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Well,
for me.
you know, the reality is that there are a lot of people out there that are dishonest.
Right.
And a lot of people get away with it because
Wow.
the other side can't fight them back.
Yeah.
And so the result here for her is she's got a good shot.
Okay.
I don't know how good a shot is because I don't know all the facts.
Right.
But she needs to move with some degree of speed. But it's not. She wrote in a sense of despair, like it was all over.
Oh wow.
It's not all over.
No, don't think
That's
that.
why we have it. That's why you have a judicial system here. So it's not all over.
No.
So if you're out there and somebody's whining you and dining you over the internet and they're asking you for some money and they're telling you about this great scheme they have, be aware.
Yeah, and don't give up.
No, don't.
Don't give up.
Well, if you give up, what do you got? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I
Take
said,
your best shot.
I'm serious. If she would like to email you, askjudgeherb@gmail.com, that she got a hold of you by email, please email Judge Herb, and he'll forward it to me, and I will have my lawyer, who's a friend of mine, known him for 30 years.
The guy that got you the money on the PI case.
He's gotten me a lot of money. He's helped me out with a lot of things, and he specializes in this. And if he doesn't specialize in it, he'll find somebody that does. He's actually turned me on to other lawyers. I had a discrimination case against a golf course in La Quinta. I don't want to get into it. I never really talked about this. Where they, I don't think I ever told you this. They, one of the workers there, we didn't get along. I was working in the cart barn where I was cleaning clubs and making money and tips and things. It was like a part-time job over there in La Quinta, and the kid didn't like me, and he bleached Jewish stars up the cart ramp, like 3 or 4 Jewish stars, which is, a shot at me. And I told the general manager, and he didn't do anything about it. Basically, we sued the country club, and I got a little bit of money out of it. So,
well, a lot of people, I was thinking about the other day when I was talking about a case in one of our shows. It was so frivolous a lawsuit. It really was. The only reason they pursued it against a big company is they figured they'd rather pay him $5,000, just go away.
Right.
They don't want to go through the hassle. We talked about the possibility of it being a final finding and used in other cases. So there's a lot of reasons. It's nuisance money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that. I told you the case with the cheese, with the lady with the cheese on the plane that she claimed that she got sick.
Yeah.
She was looking to get $5,000 or $10,000 out of United Airlines or Delta, whoever she was chasing. People do it all the time. It's all about the money.
Well,
they run out of money and they trying to be creative. How am I going to raise some money for myself? Let's file a small claims court, get a fee waiver. Now, by the way, if you want to sue in small claims court and you're saying to yourself, I don't have the filing fee, all you need to do is fill out a form, and the commissioner usually can waive the filing fee and even the service fee. So, if you think you've got rights, go to small claims court. Take your best shot. We have lots of authority, believe it or not. We probably have as much authority as anybody else in terms of making equitable decisions, giving rescission, specific performance, and things like that. We probably see more of it than they do in limited or unlimited jurisdiction cases. But people are at it for the money.
Well, with me, it was more like, they didn't do anything about it. I was like, hey, man, this guy did. And he did it during Passover and Easter weekend, by the way. He
part was for your father, part was for your mother.
half and half. And it just upset me that they didn't do anything about it, just blew it off, and basically let me go like 2 weeks later. So I was upset about it, and actually my lawyer recommended another lawyer, and we were going to sue him for $100,000 and the whole thing. Anyways, it broke down where I got like a few thousand out of it. You know, I didn't want to deal with it really. It went on for like a couple of years, but you know, it wasn't even the money. It was the principle of the fact that they just let it slide like it was nothing. You know.
Well, to them, it was nothing.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it was, but it was something to me, and I actually got a little money out of it. So what I'm trying to say is that even, you know, don't ever think that, you know, your case is completely like with this lady in San Bernardino. She thinks she doesn't have anything going on.
Yeah, she was very, I could tell, and I emailed her back, and I told her I was going to talk about her on the show today.
Yeah.
Of course, I wouldn't mention any names, and I wouldn't mention anything that anybody could identify with her personally.
Right.
Because I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if you, a listener, have an issue that you don't know where you're going with it, maybe we can direct you to the right place.
Well, we can discuss it.
Even if I don't do it,
Yeah.
certainly we can at least give you information and hopefully options that you can consider as to where you want to go with it.
Well, I hope she feels better now that she knows that it's not a complete lost cause, that you think she has a good case.
I didn't say I think she had a good case. I think she may have a good case.
Well, I mean, okay. Wink, wink. Okay, yeah,
no,
you're
there's
right.
no wink, wink.
No,
It may depends on the facts.
Well, yeah, well, you don't know the complete facts of it.
I can't imagine, personally, any business that would ever give that kind of cash to some third party on a representation that they own something and they can't prove it with either a notarized deed or some document or a power of it. I can't imagine anybody will stay in business very long if they're going to do that. Something more happened here. I don't know what it is.
Like I said, maybe they're in cahoots with this guy.
Maybe.
Maybe. You know,
how could they be in cahoots?
I don't know. I'm just
maybe maybe they didn't give him any money. He just gave him the deed.
Who knows? I'm just saying there must be something.
Maybe he's
weird.
an owner of that fast cash company. Maybe he owns part of it. Who knows?
That's it.
Look, the FBI wouldn't be interested in something like this because it really is across state lines.
Right.
But local law enforcement, you know, I don't think you're going to get.
Can't you go to the FBI on this? You think?
She probably could.
Okay.
It's not only that, but it's a communication over the internet. It's meant to be interstate.
And there could be a whole ring going on with this guy.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's what I'm saying. They could be cracking this ring if she could be the one. You know.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Have hope.
Yeah, well.
Be strong.
You know, there are occasional cases that you have no chance of winning. They happen. Statute of limitations is run.
Right.
There's something there. Person is gone. You're never going to find them. They now live in Italy. And there are things that make things impossible to recover. But this is title to property.
Yes.
The property is here in Southern California. As long as the court has jurisdiction over that property, which it does, it's called an action in re, dealing with property, you got a shot. Now, what happens in the criminal context is, if they would ever get this guy, let's assume that they get him and her title is gone. Just assume that. There's something called restitution. So when somebody pleads to stay out of state prison, pleads to a misdemeanor, pleads to a lower count, whatever it is. And I talked about plea bargaining in another one of the shows. This goes on every day. I mean, every day.
Yes.
Part of the deal would be you got to return the money, or in this case, reconvey the title. So she gets the title back, and then they get to go 90 days in the county jail or something like that.
Right.
I think this is settleable with a phone call from an assertive attorney. He or she tells that other side, you're in for the ride, buddy. And not only that, but if we can prove you were involved in a fraud, you're looking at criminal responsibility also, even if you claim to be an innocent victim.
There's hope. There's hope
for you. There is. So anyway,
hope.
I hope for you out there, and let me know what happens. I'm always interested.
Yes, it is for the people at Judge Herb Dodell. We'll be back with more right after this.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM, KCAA.
Did you ever meet a lawyer that was for the people? Someone who had the best interests of the people at heart? Herb Dodell has been a lawyer for more than 50 years and has been a Superior Court judge for 9 years, having presided over more than 9,000 cases. In this show, he will reveal the secrets of how things really work in the legal system, so you can maximize your position and benefit most when you're in trouble and need someone on your side to simplify the process for you. For more information, email the judge at askjudgeherb@gmail.com. That's askjudgeherb@gmail.com.
Okay, a little surprise for you, Gary. I didn't tell you what I was going to talk about in the last segment today because I was thinking about it as I was driving down here.
Hopefully not restraining orders.
Let me think about that. Does it have any restraining orders? Probably not.
Good.
Probably not. But it's interesting.
Okay, cool.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I just saw that, what's her name? Spring Daniels?
Stormy
Stormy
Daniels
has filed a lawsuit against President Trump.
No.
Yeah. But she's filed a lawsuit. I don't know enough about the facts, but that guy that took the case he's either going to become well known and happy, or he's going to become very unknown and very quick.
Right.
But this is a case that will end up being decided by a judge for the most part. What they did today, I thought was sheer brilliance. Brilliance.
Okay.
You know what they did today?
I think they tried to rescind the whole thing, right?
Ah, you used the magic word. She got $130,000,
right,
supposedly.
Yeah.
Now, if you buy the story that the lawyer took it out of his home equity loan, his client didn't know about it or anything else.
Yeah, Trump didn't know.
That I got some land for you in Florida. It's after the flood.
Please.
But the bottom line is somebody might believe that. I find it hard to believe myself personally.
Yeah, please.
Because no lawyer that I know is going to take money out of their pocket for a client who doesn't know it and spend their money and do those kind of, maybe he did. Maybe they were good old friends and he wanted to help him out.
Come on, Judge.
He knew in advance that if he knew about it, it would be a big problem. Who knows?
Oh, come on.
But rescission. Rescission means you got to give back everything that you got. And you get back everything that you gave, et cetera, et cetera. It's a mutual return.
Yes.
Putting it in simple lay terms.
Right.
What happens when there's a rescission? As I've told the story in at least 3 or 4 shows, it means the parties start all over as though nothing had happened. Like I gave a car back forced a dealer to take a car back.
Yeah.
Because the customer was not getting satisfaction. It was really horrible. He kept going back and back and back.
There's a lemon.
Put the lemon law aside for the moment. He was leasing.
Okay.
And the reality was, I said, you're taking the car back. I'm rescinding your contract because the consideration, it's called a failure of consideration, was gone. Not only that, but there are other grounds for rescission, fraud being one of them. So what they've done is they said, okay, no contract. You didn't sign it, number one, but no contract. So if there's no contract, she has the right to do and say whatever she wants.
Right.
First Amendment notwithstanding, because you get into other issues dealing with rights of privacy and things, but she has the right to say anything, including her opinion. She could say some very damning things about him.
Oh, please.
No, they made a big deal. They had small hands. Who knows what she could say? I don't know, but she could.
Yeah.
Not that I think it'll make any difference at the end of the day anyway, because I think that he was absolutely right when he said he could shoot somebody in Times Square and nobody would make it there. His base is not going to leave him.
Teflon Don. Teflon Don.
He's relatively secure. People don't care about affairs. They've been going on for hundreds of years, thousands of years.
Please, look at Clinton.
Nothing probably is going to take place. But the point is, in a contractual sense or in a litigation sense, she could do anything she wants to do now, say whatever she wants to say. He doesn't have a right of privacy. What do you mean he doesn't have a right of privacy? He doesn't. Because there's a case called Sullivan versus the New York Times that basically says that if you're a person of public knowledge, if you're a a person that everybody knows, recognized person, you lose that right of privacy. People can make comments about you that they might normally not be able to make if you were just Joe Blow living next door. So the president, doesn't really have any rights of privacy. And they probably cannot. That's why I hesitated when you said restraining orders. He probably doesn't have any ability to shut her up. Whatever she's going to do, depending who she is, I have no idea who she is.
She's a porn star.
But
I'm just saying. I mean, I've actually met her a couple times. I've actually interviewed her for the Howard Stern show a couple times.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. I've looked for the interviews. I just can't find them because.
Now they're worth $11 now.
I know. I'm bummed out. I could have put them on YouTube. On your YouTube, I could have put them on Judge Herb Dodell's YouTube channel.
You talk about what used to be worth something. I come from a real small town. We're all very smallish, and I used to save something called classic magazines.
Okay.
My cousin, or second cousin, was the editor of classic magazines. If you know anything about classic magazines, there were all these great stories out of history. They were like in a cartoon, I don't want to call it cartoon, animated,
Animated, yeah.
Drawn.
Right, drawings, yeah.
And when I moved to California, I left all that stuff home. I had a box full. I mean, every one of them, all the originals.
Wow.
Just like I had baseball cards.
Oh,
don't
start.
I had an original Babe Ruth.
Oh my God!
I didn't know it was worth anything.
Don't even start.
I left it in the box in the basement, right?
Don't start.
And my parents, when they finally moved,
tossed them,
threw it all out.
I know.
So you know what? You can become a saver. You just don't become one of those hoarders. But the bottom line is, things are worth some real money every now and again. So this case is interesting to me because the chances of it going to the very, very end are not that great. There'll be a lot of decisions that are being made in the middle. It's going to depend who the judge is.
Do you think they're going to rescind the order? Do you think that judge will do that?
Rescind what?
Well, I mean, like they filed, so Stormy Daniels gives the money back. Does a judge has to agree to that, correct? Or
no.
So she just filed and said, "Hey, I'm going to give you back the $130,000." Now
she doesn't have to say I'm going to. She sends him a check.
She says, and then it's all, and then
done.
It's done.
Rescind.
And then what can Trump's lawyer do?
No, they could claim that it's not a valid rescission for a variety.
That's
of
what
reasons.
I'm saying. That's what I'm asking.
That'll be the decision that some trial judge, and this is usually a decision that's made in the lower level courts.
Okay.
We have various levels. There's the trial court, like here in California, it's the Superior Court is the trial court.
Right.
Small claims is part of the trial court. Then you have an appellate, usually have an appellate department, or in California you have two. There's an appellate division of the Superior Court, which decides cases involving misdemeanors on a criminal side. And on the civil cases, generally unlawful detainers would go to the appellate division of the Superior Court. Mm-hmm. Then we have the Court of Appeals. They're both three-judge courts. They're called justices.
Right.
And they decide cases of unlimited jurisdiction and whatever else. And they have to take your case if you follow all the rules. So then you get a fresh pair of eyes, or you get six eyes, to brand new view of it. Then the Supreme Court in California, it's 7. They take the cases they want. 1% maybe 2%.
Yeah.
Only the ones that they want.
Right.
And you have to do that with a petition to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And you file briefs and you hope that they'll take your case. But this case will be decided by a trial judge someplace. Whoever gets assigned this case, it's going to be like Ito got assigned O.J. Simpson, All of a sudden, you're sitting in the middle of and they got the big camera on you and everything else.
Right.
And so the bottom line is that judge will decide whether the contract was effectively rescinded.
Let me ask you a question. Since Trump supposedly didn't sign the contract, and that's what they're stating in this rescission, do you think that invalidates the contract?
No, it doesn't invalidate it, but it certainly is it's a matter of evidence of proof.
Okay.
If you have a signed contract, in fact, I was listening to one of the older shows that we did. We talked about the difference between an oral contract and a written contract. If it's not signed, it's an oral contract. But the old statute of frauds, which we talked about at one show, going back to if you have a memorandum that's specific enough, doesn't necessarily have to be signed. And that'll be the issue that this trial judge, he or she's going to have to decide whether or not there's been a rescission. I personally think it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. She's going to say whatever she's going to say, and he's going to say whatever he's going to say. He's not going to know anything. He's going to say, I don't know her, I don't, whatever it is.
So do you think, so she'll give back the $130,000 and then she'll go on 60 Minutes? Because she's going to, the whole thing
she'll
is.
She'll get the money back.
Well, she'll make the money back from the shows. She's going to make $1 million on this, at least.
Yeah, she's probably going to do pretty good.
You know, the thing is that she has an interview already taped for 60 Minutes.
Oh, does she?
With Anderson Cooper. Yes, and that's what the whole thing. That's why I think she wants to go through this whole thing so she can talk, so it can be released.
Well, they're trying to anticipate an argument of liability by returning the consideration and saying, you know what, we're not bound by anything, and here's what happened. I was over here, he was over there, whatever it is that she's going to say, and there's not a whole lot that he can really do about it. But I think that they basically have decided in Washington they're going to take the political flack from all these things rather than put themselves in a position where they have to admit anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's unlikely anything is going to happen here. She's not in it for the money anymore. If she was in it for the money, she wouldn't give him back the $130,000.
Well, I think she is in it for the money, actually, Judge, because I think she'll give the $130,000 back and then she'll turn around and make all this other money. You know what I mean?
Probably will.
You know?
Probably will.
I mean, she'll write a book. She'll do a whole thing, Trump campaign. I mean, you know, it's going to be insane. I mean, it's crazy. It's just.
She's going to tell some great stories. I'll bet you're going to hear some great stories.
He's as big as a pinky. You know? his hands are small and.
Well, you know, but then again, you get into, in almost every litigation, you get into credibility of witnesses.
Right.
Should you believe a witness? Do they have a motive, interest, or bias? Those are the three magic words. Whenever we're arguing a case to a jury or they're arguing it to the court, you're talking about the credibility of the witnesses that are against you, whether they're experts or they're individuals. And she's got a financial motivation. She has perhaps a political motivation. I don't know whether she's a Democrat or Republican.
Yeah.
But she may have a desire to run for office.
She's an expert, but not.
Well, you know, I think in Nevada, one of the brothel owners is a state senator or something.
Oh, well,
I mean, you know, we elect all kinds of people in this country.
I understand. Well, we elected Donald Trump, for Christ's sake.
Well, we elect a lot of different people.
We do. Well, that's
who remembers Calvin Coolidge? Now, you know.
Calvin Coolidge? What, Judge?
Nobody remembers Calvin Coolidge. I don't even remember Calvin Coolidge.
Damn, you're going way back.
But I was around when Hoover was here.
Okay.
No, and actually not.
You weren't there when Hoover was around.
No, the president was Roosevelt.
Franklin
Delano Roosevelt.
He was a good president.
Not in my opinion.
Okay, well, listen, I thought we were getting political here.
Well,
so
not necessarily out of political views. Some of the things that he did or didn't do, I thought were not the right choices.
I hear you. Well, listen, Judge, great show, man.
It's good to talk to you again, Gary. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. If you want,
I don't know what we got planned, but I'll think about it and you'll show up.
You always have great shows. By the way, if you want to check out Judge Herb Dodell on YouTube, his YouTube channel, just go to Judge Herb Dodell on YouTube. Check out his videos. And
I don't think the judge part works. For some reason, I tried that. I didn't get it.
It does.
It does?
Yes.
I typed just my name and it came up.
I'm teaching you, Judge. Don't worry.
You are. And don't worry, I'll be calling you.
Oh, great. Okay. So you can call me anytime. I love hearing from you.
Next week.
Yes. And also get his book, From the Trench to the Bench, available on Amazon.com. And if you want to get advice, or not advice, but
guidelines,
options like the lady in San Bernardino did. And God bless, I think you did a fantastic thing for her, giving her hope. Go to AskJudgeHerb@gmail.com. AskJudgeHerb@gmail.com. I'll see you next week, Judge.
Yes, indeed.
All right, cool.